All right. Good afternoon. How are you doing, Emmet?
Really well. Nice to meet you. Hi.
Nice to meet you as well. So I'm really excited to have Emmet Smith with us today from Rebus. And Rebus is a very unique company. I was able to check out their website and learn a lot from it. I was really impressed. It's basically I was transported into the world of Signet Rings. And Emmet, please tell me a little bit about Rebus and tell me how you got into this, world of Signet Rings.
Um, my background, first and foremost, I'm a craftsman. I kind of I learned business on the job as I went along. Made quite a few mistakes, but I trained from the mid-80s. I did a traditional 5-year apprenticeship as a hand engraver with a company called R.H. Wilkins, which were based in Hatton Garden, which is the jewellery quarter in central London. And it was a service provider to Garrards, Aspreys, Mappin and Webbs. We did some big sporting occasions, but we engraved precious metals with handheld chisels, which are gravers, and that was my background. There was probably a team of 15 to 20 of us. We were one of the biggest workshops purely focused at hand engraving. So I had an incredible education in it. And so that's my background. Eventually, I went on and bought the company by the time I was 30. And then I was getting a lot of signet rings from our customers that were poor quality. We'd spend 3 hours carving into them, creating these beautiful seals, and then you'd hit a big pocket of porosity, which is like this hidden cave. It's frustrating. So I thought, I can do better. So I thought, it'd be nice for the business to create its own product, which a signet ring is just a beautiful canvas to put our engraving and what we like into it, onto it, inside it. And that's where it came from.
Wow. I'm going to share your website because I am completely floored by this website. I myself spent 3 hours looking at your website because I felt like I was transported into this, museum. Like it's an online museum. You have such beautiful pieces, but it's such a rich look. And you have so much history on your website as well. Like you have stories about, how this works. And I felt like I was inside like a traditional workshop. Like even the images evoke this idea of being transported into something magical. And I wanted to know, because I'm somebody who's not that familiar with Signet Rings. I personally manufacture mass products like in gemstones and jewelry. But this is such a different element that I'm used to. It's more of a slow process. And I think you mentioned that on your website. So please tell me the history of Signet Rings and the ethos in which you operate in terms of slowness.
Well, signet rings are probably one of the oldest forms of jewelry. And what I personally believe is why there's such a ancient piece of jewelry is because originally they may not have been considered jewels. They were vehicles to carry symbolism, and it's the symbolism which was important back then. And I'm talking about Mesopotamian, that was 3,500 BC, the ancient Egyptians, Minoans, they all created these symbols and wore them. And a lot of them were made from clay. And it was just over the years, then they started to become adornments, that the Romans started using a lot of cornelian with that lovely red stone, or some people call it carnelian, because it's the color of flesh, so carne. And then eventually they just become more of an adornment. But the key to anything that's sealed, engraved, they carry messages. And this is what I love about them. And this is the marriage between my craft, hand engraving, and these vehicles that we can put our art into is a perfect marriage. And I just put a lot of energy into creating this website, and also, so what I didn't like about when I was working in that original company which I trained with, our skill set was like every jeweler's or silver showroom's best kept secret. We never got any kudos that, you know, it would be the shop selling the jewelry, they would tell the customer, oh, we engraved it, or our workshop. So this was a chance for me to celebrate what we do, what we spend so long training at, and what we love, and share it with the customer. And this is what I wanted to put into our website. And, you know, fortunately, I've got a lovely store now, but underneath that store, I've still got the workshop, all the craftsmen, and I'll always tell staff, or if I'm serving customers, which I often do, come downstairs. Have you got time? Come and meet the craftsmen. I enjoy sharing the process. And I think that's the key, that's the essence to the product we provide.
Yeah, I mean, looking at your website, I mean, it really does show that it's a slow process, and you get to actually have a consultation one-on-one when you want to get a signet ring designed. So I thought that was really special. Like, you feel like, you know, you're doing something really special, and that's the impression that I got. So how do you, you know, in this fast-paced world, and when we're like talking about fast fashion and so much disposability, why do you think like people gravitate towards having these personal experiences, and what is the importance of them?
Especially now with younger people, it's they don't want lots of the same thing. You know, it's I equate to signet rings like your favorite pair of jeans. You can wear them anywhere, anytime. You're comfortable in them. You don't need hundreds and hundreds of them. You know, and also there's such value in having just one precious item that you will wear all the time. And once you've got it, that's it for life. And you wear it, and then after a while, it becomes almost a fabric of you. I remember, you know, my family's Irish. My granddad always wore this flat cap. My dad keeps that flat cap. Poor old granddad, he's been dead a good few years now. But whenever I see it, it reminds me of him. It became a part of him. And I think that's not just a signet ring, but anything someone wears all the time, somehow it becomes an essential part of them. It's a reminder. And I think this is, and maybe that's the true word of precious, or sorry, the true meaning of something that's precious.
That is true.
It's sentimental.
That is so true. You mentioned that, you know, young people are buying these signet rings too. And I'm so curious, because when I think of signet rings, I think of aristocracy and like family, you know, monograms or seals. But how do you think that that has changed? Like, has the designing and the intention behind getting a signet ring custom made, has that changed over the years? And are young people creating new versions of this?
In a word, yes. Yeah. What you were talking about, I think, would be heraldry. And we often think, yeah, it's the landed gentry, you need a coat of arms and a crest, and that's heraldry's only been around 2,000 years, since the Christian Crusades. Before that, there was all sorts of symbolism going on. And I think maybe the pendulum's swinging the other way. As I said, you know, signet rings are just a canvas. So yes, there's lots of young people, they're taking maybe they don't want a tattoo. Maybe you know, their girlfriend or their partner, boyfriend has got a tattoo they like, they don't particularly want one, and they're using that tattoo iconography to put onto signet rings. We've done landscapes where some people have proposed, they've used those rings as wedding rings. We've done some crazy things, you know, skeletons of rhinos leaning up against a fancy car, all sorts, you know. One of the joys is working with the customer is exploring, oh, that last image you just showed, that's my hand there, that's my ring. It's a Claddagh badge, which I put, which is an ancient Irish thing.
Yeah, the bear?
No, not the bear. It was just after the bear with the black, that one there in the center there with the black. No, not that one. Sorry. It's there. That's it.
Oh,
that's
okay.
what I have.
Oh, wow. And this is your Claddagh badge with black diamond matching. Okay. Yeah. And this is your family's?
No, in Ireland, there's a thing called the Claddagh Ring, and it's two hands. It's a band, and it's two hands coming around and holding a heart.
Yeah.
And then on top of the heart is a crown. And they used to. I mean, it's an ancient symbol, but it used to be a band, and the heart obviously means love. The crown means loyalty, and the hands symbolize security or stability. And you'd usually get one, I think, when you're an early teenager or 12 or something like that, as a gift, and you'd wear it on your right hand with the heart facing out, like you see in that image. And then once you start dating, you take the ring off and turn it around, and the heart would point inwards. So that would indicate you're dating and you're not available. And then when you got married, you would take it off your right hand and use it on your left hand, and it'd be your marriage. So it stayed with you your whole life. But it's a very famous Irish symbol. So yeah. I sort of ran with that and made it into a seal in a signet ring.
Yeah, I can see the hands and the heart and the crown there. That is so interesting. I mean, I've seen this motif so many times, but I had no idea the significance of wearing it inside and wearing it outward facing and then changing hands. Like, that's such a nice story. I never knew that. That's really interesting. Wow. See, I got a nice history lesson in this. This is really nice. All right.
This is the stone engraving you just saw there.
Yep. This one?
Yeah. We also engrave stones, but we don't use chisels. We use these very slow spinning pins. Some of them are copper, but we use a diamond paste. And the chap has mounted up that pendant, and he moves it around and carves into the stone. That's how we carve the stone.
Wow, it's so nice. I'm curious, like, do the metalsmiths and the artisans that work here, do they have to have an illustration background? Is that what people have traditionally?
Yes, you just have to have a natural talent, but you don't have to be a fantastic drawer. You don't have to have, I wouldn't seek people. You don't have to have a degree or anything. You just got to have an eye for detail and a natural ability to draw, sense of proportion. the hardest element we find, because there's lots of people of excellent illustrators, but the hardest thing is finding young people who can actually just have an attention span to sit still for hours and focus in on such miniature detail. And it's the attention span that can be quite hard to find in young people.
Yeah. Would you say that what's the average age of people that work at Rebus?
Oh, the average, it's dropping, it's getting younger. When I first
Okay.
there were I think I would guess maybe early 30s average age.
So that's pretty young. Yeah. And and they're coming from a variety of backgrounds, I guess, then, like in terms of the work experience. Okay.
Yeah, I've a few years ago, I employed a chap that came from Bulgaria, and his father used to make pieces of suits of armor and do chasing and rebus and those sorts of skills. And he learned from his father, and he came over, and it was quickly. I could transfer those skills quite quickly. He was used to working in 3D backwards, and so I like bringing in slightly different skill sets and creating an environment where people can learn from each other.
Yeah, it's true. Like you're not actually, when you're carving, it has to be very 3D. So it's a very unique talent. And I love when you have these, you're one second. I love that you're giving these waxes. I'm not sure what that is, but you give these little squares with the pieces. What is that called? Yes, like this little square. You're giving that to people, and you can really see the talent when you see it reversed, right? The image reversed. So what is that square?
Well, the square is the seal or the wax impression, because traditionally, there we are. So traditionally, the piece of jewellery where the carving or the seal engraving goes into is just a tool. It's a tool to create that wax impression. And so everything we do in the metal is deep and backwards. So when we push it into soft wax, which are these little squares, that should be the representation of that person's artwork or coat of arms, crest. And they were traditionally used on documents, envelopes, a way of signing. I sometimes think the word signet comes from signature. So the final piece is this wax impression, and how we get that black is we put soot from a very cheap candle. So we put the piece of metal or signet ring through a flame of a candle. That leaves a soot on the surface. Then we press it into this molten wax, and the soot's left behind, but then you can really see the detail of what's been done in the ring. And we put it all together with a piece of wax stick, so our customers can try it for themselves at home.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, this is really cool. I mean, somebody can actually take this and they would actually be able to make a seal from their actual jewelry piece. But if they lost something, I guess that this would be very useful to like recreate the same image, right?
Yeah. We always tell people, keep it safe, because if anything, God forbid, happens and you lose your jewelry, you've got a record of the artwork.
Wow. Beautiful. Oh my gosh, like these are just mesmerizing. I really love them. And would you say, I looked at your website and it seems like you've won a lot of awards. And would that be like across, like have a lot of the goldsmiths and artisans in your workshop, have they won awards? And tell me a little bit more about those awards.
So the awards are organised via our livery companies. Our livery company is called the Goldsmiths Hall, and they support the jewellery trade through apprenticeships and bursaries, and then once a year, there's an element of them that they organise this competition that's open to all the industry, with all different groups, from diamond mounting, diamond setting, model makers, silversmithers, enamelers. It's a big competition. We call it the Oscars of the jewellery industry. But I always encourage my staff, especially my apprentices, to enter it. Just do a piece of work and throw it into the competition, see what happens. And we've been very successful.
Yeah, I can see it's really incredible. That's wonderful. Yeah, and I also noticed on your website that you do the Wimbledon trophies, and you've
Yes.
been doing that for a really long time. Can you tell me about that process? Like, how much time do you have to actually engrave the trophy? Does it actually come out like, when they award it, do they give it to somebody already engraved, or how does that work?
So when I first started doing Wimbledon, I'm not much of a sports person. I don't know hardly anything about tennis. And I only do the finals weekend. So I'm only there for, and I have to take 3 of my staff along with me as well now. But I thought, oh, this sounds like a lovely gig. It's in Wimbledon. We're right by Centre Court in the office next there. And I thought, oh God, yeah, there'd be the men's final, the women's final, the gold men's cup with the pineapple on top, and the women have the big, lovely plate. I thought, oh, this would be good. I didn't realise there was so many different competitions. There's the doubles, mixed singles, the under 16s, there's a lot of trophies. It takes 3 of us there to do it all. And so we're there Saturday. Sunday's a very busy day. We're usually there to about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. All the trophies would have the pre-engraved with the name of the particular final. And what we have to do is put the winner's name into it, but there's also the runners-up. So we've got to do the runners-up. And then if it's doubles, you double that up. And so it's basically just getting the names on there quickly. But Wimbledon likes to try and get the trophies to the sports people before they leave the venue. Otherwise, they go from tournament to tournament and they never quite catch up with them to deliver their piece of silverware. So, yeah, it's a fun weekend, very busy. And if we get a break, sometimes we can get into Centre Court and watch a bit of tennis for half an hour. I know a little bit more about tennis now.
That would make sense. I mean, I honestly don't know how you do it, because I feel like someone like me, I would make a spelling mistake, or I'll feel under so much pressure. So I can't imagine the kind of, energy and, tension that must, be in that situation. So.
Well, when I do the men's final, it's being filmed live as well. So I've got a camera sort of here behind me, and then I've got the radio team recording stuff. But when it happens, usually when you're just engraving the trophies, there's a hum of people and there's sort of background noise, and it's relaxed. But when that main trophy comes in, it's like everyone's holding their breath. And it's just, I was like, I wish people would just talk and relax, but it's very tense. And then you keep thinking that you're just looking at the name. Have I spelt it right? Have I spelt it right? And yeah, after a while, you start doubting your own eyes. I've gotten used to it now. I've been doing it. I think I've been doing it for about seven years, I think. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is so exciting. I love it. It's really exciting. And I think it's hard work. I don't envy you in that regards. Um in
Mm.
I guess we're down to our last question. And this has been such an exciting interview. I was really looking forward to it because I mean, just knowing this is such a different level of jewelry than I'm used to. So I really enjoyed learning so much from you. In terms of the future, so I was wondering, what advice would you give to young people who are entering this industry, especially post pandemic, like goldsmiths or jewelers or artisans of any kind? Would you be your suggestions to them?
It must be very difficult. I mean, it was pretty difficult even for me when way back in the mid 80s to get into the industry. Back then it was, small workshops, and they'd usually would be, they'd employ their sons, very male orientated. But just keep chipping away at it. If you can't get an apprenticeship straight away, go to a college. Just be enthusiastic. Write off letters. Write off emails. Offer to, can I just come and work for 2 weeks and just experience the workshop? I had an email the other day from a young man who'd already done some work experience with Sean Lean and I forget the other jeweler, but he's approached me, can I do some work experience? And I didn't even ask for a CV. I said yes. Wow. What I liked was his enthusiasm. And just keep going at it. If you're in the UK, contact the Goldsmiths Hall. They've got a training course. It's called the Goldsmiths Centre, and it's set up for young people. I think they can take on about 12 young people a year, and they will touch on all the different aspects of jewelry making, silversmithing, and so you can touch on lots of, and then they will actively help those young people find apprenticeships, and the industry will go to the Goldsmiths Centre looking for apprenticeships. It's quite hard because it's such a niche thing as well. I mean, who'd ever heard of hand engraving? People ask, how do you get into hand engraving? I don't know. I went to a college and we just discovered each other. And so just lots of enthusiasm, keep being curious. And I think that's the best advice I can give.
Well, thank you so much for this. This was a really lovely conversation, and I look forward to, reading more articles on your website actually, and learning more about this. In terms of people finding you, where would they find you? I know that you have Instagram. What is your Instagram handle and your website? If you could just state that.
They're both the same. It's Rebus Signet Rings. .co.uk. Also, we've got .com. Okay. If you're coming from North America.
Perfect. And you ship worldwide, yes?
Ship worldwide, and shipping's free. We cover the customs, and yeah, we try and make it as easy as possible. Zoom consultations. If you're over for a holiday, come in for a drink, and it's easy and it's fun. That's what we try to do.
Yeah, it looks like it's a nice, extensive consultation process. So I really like that for sure. And thank you so much. And for me, if you want to find me, you can find me at Jewels Forever CA on Instagram or on our website. And that's 4 as the number 4. So yes, all the information is below. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Emmet. It was really wonderful to speak to you today.
Thank you, Anita. Okay. Bye.
Bye.